Taehyung, Jungkook, and the unspoken bond. Unveiling the untold secrets, they never said they were one, but the world never stopped asking, what's between Taehyung and Jungkook? In the entertainment industry, saturated with exposure, there's one thing that's rarest: silence. Not because of emptiness, but because there's something too deep to be explained with words. The relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook, two BTS members known for their stage charisma and emotional strength, has sparked an unquenchable curiosity. Not because of controversy, but because of something that was never truly said. In that silence lies a story stronger than any declaration, a story of an unspoken bond. Taehyung, with his mysterious and contemplative artistic soul, and Jungkook, the energetic perfectionist who seems never to tire, are two individuals who, on paper, should be opposites. Yet years together have molded them into two entities that move at the same frequency. It's no coincidence that they are always caught on camera glancing at each other when the other isn't paying attention, or that they sit closest to each other in long interviews for no apparent reason. But is it really without reason? That question may never get an explicit answer. However, its traces are scattered in small fragments, like when Taehyung writes a song that's never mentioned for whom, but its tone is laden with longing. Like when Jungkook sings a line that sounds like an apology or a confession. There's an emotional attachment that feels real, but never boxed with a label. As if they agreed not to name something they only understand, to preserve the sanctity that can only grow in a space unseen by the public. In a world that constantly pushes celebrities to give more access, more stories, more evidence, Taehyung and Jungkook's closeness has become an enigma that remains closed. They don't deny, but they don't confirm either. Because what they have is not for public consumption, but a safe space that belongs only to them. In the spotlight, it's behind the stage where they are most real. Like during a concert break, where one sits on the balcony looking at the stars, the other comes without speaking, just placing a warm coffee next to him. No words, but there's a presence. This isn't about bromance. This isn't about romance. It's about a human connection so deep, it doesn't need a declaration. Many try to decipher, guess, or even theorize. But anyone who has ever experienced mutual understanding without words will recognize it in the way they look at each other. There's something familiar, something too personal to be explained logically. While the world thinks they're just colleagues or close friends, they move with their own language, a language without sound. Taehyung knows when Jungkook needs space. Jungkook knows when Taehyung needs to be pulled back to reality. In every performance, there's always an unwritten moment where they exchange energy. Like when one reaches a point of fatigue, the other fills that space with calmness. Like batteries that charge each other, invisible, but vital. The official BTS documentary may show glimpses of their interactions, but the camera only captures what can be seen. What's not captured are the little things: hands that meet briefly backstage, quick glances during rehearsals, or the way Jungkook listens when Taehyung tells a story with sparkling eyes. They don't make it dramatic, because it's not meant to be a spectacle. It's just them. It's home. Many ask, why don't they ever talk about their relationship? The answer might be simple. Because they don't need to. Because not all love needs to be announced. Not all connections need to be explained. Some things can only be honored by letting them be, without interference. Over the past decade, they've been through a lot together. A pressured debut, exhausting world tours, personal growth that hasn't always been linear. There were times when their paths seemed to diverge, but it never truly disappeared, because their bond isn't about the frequency of interaction, but about an understanding that never fades. On many occasions, it's clear, they don't demand to be always present, but they're always ready to be present when needed. When asked who is closest to whom, they rarely mention each other explicitly. But look at how Taehyung describes someone who calms him just by being present. Look at how Jungkook keeps a Polaroid with someone whose name is never mentioned. For them, intimacy isn't about declaration, but about a silent commitment to stay with each other. they're not a couple that flaunts their relationship, but they're two people who keep coming back to each other, again and again. In a world that quickly forgets, they are each other's memory. In an industry that turns humans into products, they continue to see each other as individuals. Perhaps that's why the public can never stop being curious. Because we rarely see connections built from silence, not narratives. We rarely see relationships that remain strong even without a name. And maybe, in the end, it's not who they are to each other that matters, but how they endure each other amidst everything. Because in a world that constantly demands definitions, they choose to be a story without a title. But anyone who listens will know, this isn't just about friendship or love or closeness. It's about two souls who always know the way home. Without having to say a word, behind the captivating narrative and the seemingly authentic intimacy between Taehyung and Jungkook, a big question looms over us all. Is this all real? Or is it just a fabricated narrative used to strengthen the image, attract public attention, or even shape emotional perception for the benefit of the entertainment industry? It's undeniable that many snippets of their moments have gone viral on TikTok, been debated on Twitter, dissected through analytical videos on YouTube, and even turned into dramatic narrative content by entertainment media. Clips of glances, gestures, and interactions that feel meaningful are presented with a melancholic soundtrack, as if supporting one grand narrative, that there's something more than just friendship between them. However, how many of us actually question the authenticity of these sources? How often do we filter information before concluding something as truth? Are we seeing the truth, or just wanting to believe it's true? We need to ask this question seriously, because emotions can deceive. Imagination can mislead. And viral content isn't necessarily factual in today's pop culture context. Narratives like this are easily formed. One small moment is interpreted on a grand scale. One song is linked to someone just because the lyrics feel right. Even their silence is often interpreted as a silent confirmation that there's something being deliberately hidden. But let's ask together, is this kind of interpretation fair to them? Or is it just another form of simplification of the complex relationship between two humans who grew up together under the public spotlight? Is it possible that this story is being exploited by the industry itself? Major labels, artist management, and entertainment media have a clear interest in shaping narratives. The closeness of two idols can create a stronger emotional appeal, build fandom loyalty, and strengthen brand image globally. In a system where emotions are currency, it's not impossible that interactions that seem natural have been curated, or at least consciously recognized to have commercial value. Does that mean it's all fake? Not necessarily. But the question is, what's the boundary between reality and narrative? We're invited to watch, then feel, then believe. But stopping there is very dangerous, because without verification, we only become part of the chain of emotion consumers who never know whether what we're supporting is a human or a fabricated story. And this is where reflection and healthy skepticism are important. Not to suspect everything, but to balance enthusiasm with intellectual awareness. What are we really seeing? The sincerity of two best friends, a representation of rare nonverbal emotional bonds in the entertainment world, or a narrative construction shaped and reinforced by social media algorithms and fandom culture. And if this is indeed a communication strategy, we must ask, who benefits? And who might be manipulated? Let's talk about this together. How do you react when you see moments between Taehyung and Jungkook on screen? Does your heart immediately say, this isn't just friendship? Or do you feel it's all too perfect to be real? Is there a possibility that we as an audience are actually being shaped to feel that way? We gathered this information from various sources: TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and other platforms that are now the main reference for many fans. However, it's important to emphasize that not all information circulating has been verified. Some videos are edited, some contexts are cut, and some narratives are formed based solely on assumptions. Therefore, we invite all of you, fans, entertainment industry observers, and the general public, not to immediately believe everything that goes viral. Don't stop at awe or cuteness, but keep digging. Is there real evidence? Is the source reliable? Is this just a perception shaped by careful editing and a narrative that guides emotions? Exclamation mark. We live in an era where information comes very quickly, but verification comes very slowly. What seems beautiful on screen could be subtle manipulation. Or conversely, we could be too skeptical and ignore the possibility of a genuine connection that doesn't need to be named. So the question we must keep asking is, are we observing a silent love story? Or do we just want to believe that such love exists in the real world? This discussion isn't about right or wrong. It's about learning to see deeper, about how we navigate between reality